There are so many intangibles, and intangibles generally determine the outcome of the fight. The analysts and the fans and the hardcores aren't the best gamblers. It's generally an outlayer that just walks up to the window, likes the odds, throws some money down, then comes home and brags to his friends how he got one right. Because there's so many intangibles. When you look at Stipe Cormier, we all knew Cormier had to take him down and Stipe had to knock him out on their feet. How'd that one go? But we see things like this all the time, and Darren Till is putting out some intangibles that started 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was the first time I love Darren Till interviews because I believe him. I really believe him. I don't think there's any shtick or gimmick there. I believe him when he says what he wants. I believe him when he says how he's training. I believe him when he says, I'm really struggling to make weight. And as recently as 2 weeks ago, and maybe I should say as far back as 2 weeks ago, but he said, I don't even want to train anymore. I am exhausted and all I want to do is make weight. And then he even cited what he wanted to eat. He said, I want a cheeseburger. He said, I want some white rice. He had his cravings down. I can tell you, I can remember my days of heavy weight cutting going down to 185 pounds. But the weight cut can become so significant, so much of a lifestyle where it's 24/7 and all you are is hungry and all you are is cannibalizing yourself and your coaches are expecting you to train multiple times a day, but you don't have any energy and your attitude's bad on top of that. And at some point when Darren Till said, I don't want to train anymore, what that told me is that he was hurting so bad he did not have the energy, he did not have the calories within his body to go in and produce the workouts that his coaches wanted. I am not ready to pass a judgment on whether that's good or bad. I will just tell you that 2 weeks is a little bit early for a guy to be saying and feeling that way. 2 weeks, generally when a guy starts feeling that way, and yes, he will have some of those feelings, but when he's really feeling like, man, I can't even go to practice, I cannot do this work, that's when he starts what we call the weight cut. And there's a difference between losing weight, dieting, or cutting weight. And cutting weight is when you start to pull the water. And as big as Darren Till is, and as good as he is, he's still very inexperienced. He's still a very young guy. He's only 25 years old. And it would be my guess, purely a guess, but having been in his shoes and known how I felt and then listened to the things he said, it is my guess that he started cutting weight up to 2 weeks ago. He started reducing his water. I've seen many guys do this. Darren would not be the only one guilty of it. But a seasoned weight cutter would not do that until the weigh-in was 72 hours away. And that would be for a really hard pull. A really seasoned guy would know how to do it 48 hours, and then the best of the best, a Mike Dolce or a Tyler Minton style guy, would do it in less than 24 hours. So by the things that I was reading about Till and hearing him say it and be able to put myself in his shoes, I think he started the poll up to 2 weeks ago, which is not great news. It's not great news. Does it affect the fight? Maybe. Yeah, maybe it does. There's not a whole lot to what fighters say about their opponent having to cut so much weight and therefore he won't be there. Look, it's a 24-hour weigh-in. I mean, now they've changed it to like a 36-hour weigh-in. Yes, a guy can fully, 100% recoup. Absolutely. You've never heard me speak on this or say so-and-so's cutting weight and that's bad. Never. This is my first time talking about it. Ever. But it's the first time that I've actually thought, ooh, this could matter. Depleting your body, sucking the water out of your body is not a great thing, but to do it in a very short period of time, for example, 24 hours. Then having an equal amount of time, for example, 24 to 36 hours, to rehydrate your body is very, very easy to do. It is very realistic, and it is not a very daunting task. To pull water weight out up to 2 weeks in advance because you're a young guy and you haven't been through it enough times and haven't gotten the right advice can absolutely change you. We do not know for sure this is what Darren Till did. We seem to be having an entire show about speculating. But I am speculating based on evidence. One is personal experience, and two was hearing his words and remember the times in my career. And I am not attempting to come at you or Darren Till supporters or Darren Till himself from some high-handed approach that I know better. That's not my intent. He's the number one contender fighting for a world championship. Let's concede to Darren Till on all things, save one. And even though I am coming at you as now an expert in weight cutting, I can assure you when I was 25 years old, I was not. And I'm just seeing some similarities there, and it can affect your performance. Not the diet. The diet can affect your training. You don't quite have the carbs. You don't quite have the ability to train. That's true, but you can get through it. You can tough it out and get through it. Maybe you got to drag a little bit. Hey, when's the coach not looking? Do a little bit of that, but you can get through it. As hard as it is, or a mental challenge, you can get through it. When you don't want to train anymore, that's when you don't have the water, not the carbs, not the fat, not the food, not the calories. That's when you do not have the water. And that can be a big mistake. You kind of want to trade them on equal levels. If you have 24 hours to recover, then you want to start the weight cut 24 hours before. If you have 30 hours, start at 30 hours before, which is what he is up against. And I believe he might have started it as far back as 2 weeks. And I remember those days of doing it myself, and I can just tell you it's a really hard way to go about it.